Today, I want to discuss the connection between ancient archaeology and spirituality. 5 connections mainly. So, let me first tell you what these 5 connections are. Number 1, the Great Flood. Number 2, ancient advanced civilizations. Number 3, challenge to the theory of evolution. Number 4, the yugas or cyclic ages. And number 5, past lives. So let's discuss these one by one. The first connection between ancient archaeology and spirituality is the Great Flood. Now, what is the Great Flood? The Great Flood is a huge flood that happened maybe thousands of years ago, and this flood kind of engulfed the entire planet. Now, this is talked about in many spiritual traditions, especially when you talk about the biblical flood of Noah in Christianity or in Islam. This flood is also mentioned in other cultures, for example, in the Greek mythology, and it is also mentioned in Hinduism and other cultures like Mayanism and the Mayan culture and shamanism. So, what is this Great Flood? Now, this Great Flood, the thing is that it is a very common phenomena in all these spiritual traditions. The question is it a reality or is it something which is only a myth that is made up? Because when we talk about mainstream history, we don't listen of such a flood much. There's no mention of such a flood as such. But now, with the recent findings in ancient archaeology in certain archaeological sites, some alternative archaeologists are talking about the potential of this Great Flood, the potential possibility of this Great Flood, that maybe there was such a Great Flood that happened many thousands of years ago. So one of these theories, and the major theory around this is known as the Younger Dryas impact theory. The Younger Dryas, which was about somewhere around 12,000 years ago, where Earth went through a lot of cataclysms and maybe comet impacts which caused this huge flood. Now, there are some ancient archaeological sites which kind of give evidence of such a flood. And there is another hypothesis which is called the Sphinx erosion hypothesis. And in this hypothesis, the alternative archaeologists say that the Sphinx has some marks of water erosion. Now, as you would know, the Sphinx is in Egypt in a desert, and the last time Egypt had rainfall was many thousands of years ago, more than 12,000 years ago. So, and the water erosion marks show that it is not a result of just little bit rainfall, but it is a result of flood, the water erosion marks around the Sphinx. And the main proponents of this Sphinx erosion hypothesis are John Anthony West and Robert Schoch. John Anthony West is an alternative Egyptologist, whereas Robert Schoch is a geologist. This brings me to the second connection between ancient archaeology and spirituality, which is advanced ancient civilizations. Now, if there was indeed a flood that kind of wiped out the planet somewhere around 12,000 years ago, the question is, were there advanced civilizations living before that? And this is where this theory of Atlantis comes in. It is believed that there was this advanced civilization living long time back known as Atlantis, and this is because Plato mentioned it. Plato mentioned the existence of an advanced civilization known as Atlantis before the flood, before the Great Flood. Now, a lot of people think that this is just, especially mainstream archaeologists think that this is just something which Plato was making up. There was no such actual civilization living before the flood or living before any such event, any cataclysm. But now, there is a lot of evidence found which tells us that maybe there were indeed advanced civilizations before this flood. One such example of an ancient archaeological site is Göbekli Tepe, where they have found huge megaliths and monoliths. Now, when the dating of Göbekli Tepe is done, what they are finding out is that this site seems to be very old, even older than 15,000 years ago. More than 15,000 years ago the site was built. So if that is the case, then who built it? Because they are finding these huge megaliths and monoliths in this site, Göbekli Tepe, which tell us that this site is not built by hunters and gatherers. It is not possible for hunters and gatherers to build such huge megaliths and monoliths, which require some advanced technology, and which have such intricate designs. Therefore, when we talk about our mainstream ideology, we think that about 15,000 years ago there must have been hunters and gatherers. That's what we think from the theory of evolution, that at that time people were just hunters and gatherers. But this challenges this theory, and this tells us that maybe at that time there were advanced civilizations that maybe either built Göbekli Tepe or helped these people, hunters and gatherers, build Göbekli Tepe. And there are other sites as well. For example, there is a site known as Sacsayhuaman in Peru, which has these big rocks, huge rocks, and the way these rocks are built, the way these rocks are connected with each other, the connection is so strong that you cannot even slip a piece of paper in between two rocks. They are cemented with each other in such a way that it seems that some higher technology has been used to build these structures of Sacsayhuaman using these rocks. So maybe there was an advanced civilization present at that time. This brings me to the third connection, which is the challenge to the theory of evolution. Now, if there were advanced civilizations living before this great flood, then it challenges the whole theory of evolution, because as per the theory of evolution, at that time we were just hunters and gatherers, and we evolved many years ago from apes. Basically, it tells us that right now we are at the pinnacle of human civilization. Right now we are at the peak of our consciousness, and that we were just hunters and gatherers, and we have evolved from monkeys and apes. But this gives a challenge. The idea of advanced ancient civilizations gives a challenge to this theory, and it tells us that maybe we were much more than that. Maybe we did not come from monkeys and apes, and maybe we were just not hunters and gatherers, but before that maybe we were advanced. We were greater. We were kind of like demigods, which is a concept in Buddhism also. There are 6 realms. One of those realms is demigods, and then there are gods. So maybe we were these demigods. In fact, even if you look at Greek mythology and Hindu mythology, you see these powerful figures, these god figures, who have great spiritual powers. So maybe we had those great spiritual powers at that time. And this is what even spiritual mystics throughout ages have been saying, that this theory of evolution doesn't make sense when it says that we come from monkeys and apes. That maybe we were gods and demigods before, and we have forgotten that. And that's why Graham Hancock says that we are a species with amnesia. We have forgotten who we are. We have forgotten our true spiritual power. We have forgotten that we are gods, and we have forgotten our history. The fourth connection between ancient archaeology and spirituality is the yugas, or cyclic ages. The yugas is a concept in Hinduism, and it is the idea that time is not linear. Because if we talk about the mainstream belief around evolution, it seems that time is linear. Our civilization has been advancing in a linear fashion from monkeys and apes to hunters, gatherers, and now we have come to this point of civilization where we went through, agricultural revolution, then industrial revolution, and now technological revolution. So it seems that it is a linear model, that we have evolved from very low consciousness to high consciousness. But as per Hinduism and as per this concept of the yugas, time is not linear, but it is cyclic. It is cyclic. It means that whatever has happened before, it kind of is also repeating itself, which means that maybe we had advanced civilizations before, and we were gods and demigods before, but now then, we kind of restarted, and again we are moving from a lower consciousness to a higher consciousness. So first we were, an advanced civilization, then we kind of got into a lower state of consciousness, and now again we are rising in consciousness and becoming a higher civilization. And that's why in this concept of yugas, there are mainly 4 yugas, which are known as Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. These are kind of 4 parts of the cycle, and they have, this circle has 2 parts, which is a descending cycle and an ascending cycle. So these 4 yugas are in both cycles, descending cycle and ascending cycle. And as per Paramhansa Yogananda, we are living currently in the ascending cycle of the Dwapara Yuga, which means that we are again rising in consciousness, which means that at some point of time our consciousness was low and it became higher, and then again it became low, and then it became higher. And this seems, and it's like a cycle, it repeats itself. And this fits really well with this ancient archaeology, because as per this ancient archaeology and what we are finding in these sites, if there was this huge flood, and if there were advanced ancient civilizations, then we are again going through a cycle. These advanced civilizations reached their pinnacle, reached their height, and then they got destroyed, and then we moved to a lower consciousness, and again now we are rising to being an advanced civilization. So it's kind of a cycle which repeats itself. The 5th connection is past lives. Now, if there were ancient advanced civilizations, then the question is, were we a part of those civilizations? Is it true that we not only have this one life, but maybe we have had many lives, and we have been part of many civilizations, and that we have not only been humans but demigods and gods, and in other forms? Maybe we have lived on other planets, maybe we have lived in the past civilization of Atlantis, or maybe we have lived in other dimensions. The question is, do we have multiple lives? Do we have these past lives? And now we know that a lot of people remember their past lives. Spiritual mystics have been talking about this throughout ages, that the theory of reincarnation, that there are multiple lives, and we are born and reborn, and we have many lives. We have been through many, many lives, not just this human life. But the question is that, is it possible that maybe we were also a part of these earlier advanced civilizations? Maybe our consciousness is born and reborn again. Maybe, it is again, we are going through, in our own individual evolution of consciousness, we are also going through a cycle. We are also, living different kinds of lives. We are also sometimes in a low consciousness realm, sometimes in a high consciousness realm. Maybe we have many lives. And there are people who remember their past lives clearly. I remember about 10 to 12 of my past lives. And I have also done these past life regressions, and I have also done my own practices in meditation to remember these past lives. And I clearly remember them now. And there are many people around the planet now talking about their past lives, and they are talking about how they remember that they were a part of these advanced civilizations, and they were even demigods and gods in some of their lifetime. One such person is Matias de Stefano, who is, I think, from Argentina, and he talks about his past life in Atlantis. So is it possible that we have been part of these ancient advanced civilizations? And if that's the case, then we are not just having this one life, but our soul is on a journey, and our soul has been through many lifetimes, and maybe a part of these earlier advanced civilizations as well. So I hope you found value in this talk, and I hope that this ignites some passion in you for exploring ancient archaeology, because I feel that we are discovering a lot of things now. We are living in a truly magical time where, due to this information age which we are a part of, we are finding so much of information about such ancient archaeological sites, which is telling us that maybe we are not just limited beings, but maybe we have been gods and demigods, and maybe we are gods and demigods, and we have just forgotten that, and now we are remembering that we are much more than our body. In fact, that we are an infinite consciousness, and we are much more powerful than we think. Take care. I will be posting more such videos on related topics, and these are some topics I'm really passionate about, and I'm going to share that. So if you like this video and if you want to watch more videos related to this topic, then you can subscribe to my channel, and I would love to see you again.